Mystery box. I was so thrilled by all your questions. Let's answer a few more. Tamara Jackson asks, could you put together a supper club menu with craft cocktails? Absolutely. In fact, that's a great idea. We'll get Britt to come in and do it with me. That's a great idea. Yes, the answer is. This is from Billy5057. My grandmother was, later in life, known as the most fabulous hostess for dinner parties. But she told us that the first dinner party she ever threw, no one came. How do you graciously handle that and save face when everyone knows they didn't attend? Their loss. That's how you handle it emotionally. Hey, you missed a golden opportunity, kid. That's what you have to feel in your heart. If this should ever happen to you, which seems like maybe they got the date wrong or something for your grandma, especially because she was a fabulous hostess. Second question, how do you entertain a dinner party without a dining room or even a breakfast area? Buffet style and then sit in the living room. Of course, it'll be casual, but how do you move beyond it being casual and make it comfortable while avoiding your dinner party being sloppy? Okay, if people are gonna have plates on their lap, you got a problem. Go to a cheap store and get as many little folding card tables as you can and set them in the living room with a votive, with a setting on each one. I've done that when I had apartments that didn't have dining rooms. And also, scent your house and music and booze and all the beginning dinner party stuff makes it fancier. And then when they go in or see your living room on entry, they'll see the candles flickering and the cute little tables and you know, it's really sweet. The other thing you can do is put a little, I call it like a host prize or gift, like a small thing on each setting. You can make it specific, or you can give everybody a paper flower, like I said, or like even a miniature scented candle or something like that. So it's fun. You make it a little fancy secretly. Good questions, Billy. Imari Joy asks, it's about dinner party etiquette. An example. You throw a potluck dinner party, but you have one guest that's a little bit abrasive and overbearing to the other guests. We know all about that, okay? Know it all and believe themselves to be a little above everyone. And you privately and politely ask them to adjust their behavior, but they take it as an insult, and instead of just leaving the party respectfully, they pack up everything they brought to the party, food-wise, and leave. Should I take it as an insult to my home and friendship? And did I handle it correctly? Number one, you handled it absolutely correctly. Number two, that girl or guy's food, you don't want that at the party. It wasn't made with love. It was made with jealousy, anger, and abrasiveness, okay? So you don't want that food. What you're doing is very respectful. Confrontation takes a lot of respect. Your heart's pounding, you're sweating, your face gets red. It's hard. So what you did was super respectful. What they did was, what are you, 6 years old? You know, it's hard to get criticism, and you can be upset and go to the loo for a few minutes if you're that lady or man. But then you come back and say, I'm really sorry that I acted that way, guys. Gosh, I'm really sorry. That's a grown person. Now, you sound like a grown person to me, like a grown woman. The person you're dealing with, have compassion for them. They're a child. Jemima E298. Jemima, what a great name. This seems like such a fun episode. Seems, madam? Nay, it is. I know not seems. My question is, how do I balance sauces like gravies properly without meat? I tend to whack everything in there like soy sauce, Worcestershire, big flavor punches, but often it will taste flat and bland. I don't know how it can with those things. So you want to be careful with soy sauce, obviously, because it's extremely salty. Incidentally, Worcestershire sauce in some cases is not vegetarian. If you're a vegetarian, it has anchovy in it. But they have a vegetarian one. So be careful if you're a veg. Look on the back. And big flavor punches. Okay, so my suggestion would be Japanese fermented rice products. So I just got this to show you. This is a real one from Japan to the point where I had to use that camera thing to translate it. It's called Shio Koji. And it looks like that. And it's incredibly flavorful. And it's thick. So it's helpful. My suggestion would be go on Amazon, or if you have a Japanese grocery store, go there. Fermented things are gonna wake up your the richness of your sauce. There's also pre-made vegetarian bases for gravies, like Better Than Bouillon is a great product. But anyway, try some of these shio koji. If you marinate something in this and then sort of brush it off and roast it, it's pretty special. And then you can use vegetable stock. I don't know if you're veg, but you can use vegetable stock and a little bit of the marinade and bring it down and make a sauce. You know, just be careful with a lot of salt, because these things you mentioned are very salty. Need a better hobby, writes. What do you do with leftovers from a fabulous or casual dinner party? I'm a chronic overestimator when it comes to food. How do you get better and more accurate at planning? So I bought takeout boxes, cardboard, and they fold in, they're awesome. And I asked people, would you like to take some with you? Now, if you give them that box, it's better than giving them all mismatched Tupperware from your house that you never get back. And I use paper bags that I bought with a rope. You know those handles? Kind of looks like rope, but it's cardboard. And the boxes fit perfectly, and people go out with these nice boxes. I mean, other than that, overestimating is better than underestimating. So buy cute takeout stuff for your guests. You just don't want to underestimate, because that's horrifying. My mother used to have a thing that she would dig her elbow into us, and she would go, FHB on the rice. And that means family holdback on the rice, because she had underestimated the amount of rice. Or she'd go, FHB smoked salmon, like that. Which was hilarious. And it was always the best thing. Kep817 writes, can you describe the best dinner party you've ever been to and why? I cannot. What makes it great? People not being jerks. On-time service. I've been to hundreds of these, you know, like not when you're sitting there for 4.5 hours drinking wine and you're completely plastered when you sit down to eat because they're so late. Making the food, that would be the worst dinner party. The best, I have so many. On-time, beautiful setting, convivial, you feel special. Now, of course, I'm describing dinner parties I've been to in the past because nobody invites me to dinner parties anymore. Kep817. Well, David Schaefer makes small dinner parties. Eggy dinner, that's my favorite. That's a poached egg. Oh, that's a good dinner. With a salad, crushed avocado. Oh, it's so good. The worst dinner party I've ever hosted was ones where people go into blackouts. Just to go on the other side of that, I serve on time, people still manage to go into blackouts. That's a drag. So I would say the worst dinner parties are ones where people drink too much. And the best dinner parties are myriad. I can't really answer that, so sorry. Sorry, Kep817. This is from my sister, okay? Caroline writes, are there any things you don't like to work with or recipes that you are not particularly fond of making? You certainly can make it, but you don't really enjoy doing it. Just wondered. Also, have you ever given a dinner party where something really unfortunate happened, like somebody had an allergic reaction to food or something got stuck in their throat? Oh, yeah. So first of all, I don't like unloading the dishwasher. It seems depressing to me. I know that's not an ingredient, but I really don't like doing that. Is there something I'm not fond of making? I don't like to make things that make a humongous mess. The second part of your question is, has anybody ever had an allergic reaction or gotten something stuck in their throat? Mr. Schaefer, he has choked several times on food in front of me to the point where I thought he was going to possibly die, and it was Heimlich maneuver time. So yes, I've had choking. As a cook, and I know other cooks out there know what I'm talking about, there's a little nerve if you throw a big dinner with a lot of different dishes that you maybe possibly made somebody sick. And you always wait the next day to hear, is anybody sick? That goes away after a few years, but the only time somebody's ever gotten sick was from oysters. So I have had somebody get so sick that they had to kind of run out of the dinner party. That did happen. But other than that, David choking and the oysters, not really. Thanks, Caroline. Patricia Downey, 9864. Why does my homemade ice cream, Cuisinart, which is the same machine I have, taste fatty and weird regardless of the recipe? It's terrible. The machine works fine. I can't answer that. I have to sit with you and make ice cream. Write me your ingredients, because It shouldn't taste fatty or weird at all. So write me what you're using and we'll figure it out together. So Nick Egger, 5096, queries, I'd love to know about that magnificent gold trimmed china and crystal. What is their history? Who were they made by? I'm presuming you're thinking about table settings. The glassware was my dad's. I don't even think you can get that. Those champagne glasses and those goblets are so beautiful. I believe, I'm not sure, that those were made for my dad by Asprey, but I could be wrong. My gold china with its gold rim is all from eBay and First Dibs. It takes a long time to collect that stuff, okay? So the glassware I inherited, that's the answer. Nick. Tessie Ward, 9544. I hope I'm not too late. Of course you're not too late. Nobody's too late. We're going to continue doing this. Tell us about your studies at the French Culinary Institute and when you attended. I am a graduate, oh my goodness, of the Chef, Pastry, and Italian Cuisine. You're talking professional program. I didn't go to the professional program. I'm wondering if we roamed the halls of FCI together. Unfortunately, that FCI that I went to is gone, and they merged with International Culinary Education or something. I went, I think, in 2012. And I did the Essentials of Fine Cooking. And then I did a couple of other courses there, but they were literally amateur courses. That's a good question. So 2012, user YK2YL3KX5U. I think the computer generated that. Can you dance? What do you think? LT Nick. What is the most apparently ludicrous pairing of foods that seems like it would taste awful but is actually delicious? Oh, this is Nikki, I think. I can't think of a hideous pairing that works. I mean, the worst thing is strawberries and fish is just like, wow. It doesn't taste good. Or what foods did you think you would hate which you actually enjoyed? Well, as a child, you're trained by other kids that you don't like organ meats, right? Ew, gross. And we used to get liver sometimes. This was in the 60s, right? And I sort of secretly loved it. And I didn't understand what the problem was, and everybody hated it. And then I discovered, of course, the mixed grill, which is the most incredible thing. Hard to find that now. It's a steak, a piece of bacon, a sausage, a kidney, and a little piece of liver. Come on. I got an interesting letter from a guy from, I'm thinking South Africa. It was about the milk tart, and he said, no cookie crust ever. I just gave you a heart because I was watching television. I'd love to know why. Do you guys not do that? I don't know. Anyways, Paula Sorvillo, I answered you last night before I started watching TV. Whose puff pastry do you use? Always Dufour. It has less ingredients than the Pepperidge Farm one. Dufour, 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 Dufour. It's in the freezer section. Oh, and Paula also asked the golden question, where do you get your aprons from? They're from Rough Linen, which is an incredible company that was started by a beautiful gentlewoman called Trisha Rose. And it is an absolutely flawless company. These are called the pinafores. They have them in short ones for kids. Now they have a regular apron that doesn't have this. Rough Linen, Rough Linen, Rough Linen. Arcane Weasel, where did you get your background in cooking? Many things seem so upscale or just forgotten. Just fabulous, absolutely fabulous. Well, my background in cooking is my background in entertaining. So my family was great entertainers, and I realized that you can't always serve brought-in things. And you start to get a few compliments on the 3 things that you know how to make, and you want to expand. It comes from wanting to entertain. Many things seem so upscale and forgotten. I love food history. I have so many of these old cookbooks and from way back, centuries ago, and also from the 50s, and let's bring them back, Arcane Weasel. Thank you for saying we're fabulous. Barbara Pearson asks, I have a question for you, Randy. Have you ever thought of getting married? To be honest with you, it has never crossed my mind. That's the real truth. And when I watch Say Yes to the Dress and people say, I've thought about this day, and I'm like, it never occurred to me. As a child, I never imagined a wedding. I thought the dresses were cool. But to be honest with you, Barbara, it never occurred to me. Can Crew 9774, would you ever do a meet and greet? Yes. Lynn has to organize that, though. Rick Kirby, 2442. Oh, this is interesting. I want to start hosting dinner parties where I trade a gourmet meal for a work of art or visual performance. That's called a salon. My dad used to throw salons where he would have gifted people. You have a drink and there's hors d'oeuvre, and you sit and you see the guy play the piano. Then you get up, there's a heavier appetizers. You eat a little bit, you talk. Oh, it's time for the guy to recite his poem. And you have like a actor, a poet, a piano player, if you have a piano, a guitar player. If you want people to bring you a painting or something, don't say trade. Say, please don't bring anything unless it's a work of art, of yours. Homemade, or how would you put that? That's up to you, but I'm saying don't say trade. Say, I wouldn't say trade. And host a salon, which is something I've wanted to do for a long time. I played at a salon once in this very, very fancy house that had this huge marble hallway with like busts like this, you know, and this like palatial living room. There was like 80 people watching. And I was probably 19 or something, and I played a song, and I dropped a globe of red wine on the floor. I mean, they were chic about it. I mean, I was, I think, as elegant as I could be about it. It's like, what can you do? I dropped it. I wasn't being reckless. But the sound of that glass breaking and splashing, oh, you know, that was brutal. But hopefully that won't happen at your salon, Rick. Host a salon. Let's bring that back. Dolores Harkins, 50/50, asks, how do you decide on a menu for a dinner party? Prices, guests, season, occasion? I love to cook and entertain, but with inflation and just life pressures, I'm getting overwhelmed with how to make it all work out. Thank you. Remember the golden rule. People just want to go to your house and see you. They want to be treated well. House should smell good, good music, and just have wine, okay? Your dish can be a stew, which is pennies for each person, okay? You can make the simplest thing, nachos, or you can order Chinese food if that's not too expensive. I'm saying what they want is that you invited them. So it's really the get-together. You cleaned up, you look nice, you're smiling, you're happy to see them, they're your friends. So what to make in terms of expense, the expense part you can just dispense with, okay? Don't worry about the expense. Make a stew. They just want to see you. Now, how do I design a menu? A lot of episodes of 90 Day Fiancé. I'm now obsessed with 24 Hours in Police Custody on BritBox. And I sit there with my book and loose pieces of paper, and I write down things I want to make or things I saw in a magazine, and then I try and organize them in sections. Like I want to do this sake dinner because I went to the Dasai Brewery in Hyde Park. Things like that. Inspiration. I guess inspiration. And season. That's a good question, Dolores. Karen Donnelly. I love your episode on setting a table. How would you set up a self-serve bar in a small space? What would be the essentials? All-purpose elegant glass? Thank you. I always feel that I'm in the kitchen with a friend when I watch your show. That's so sweet, Karen. A self-serve bar, I don't know how small a space. Limit the choices. I would say the same glass for everybody. So an old-fashioned. It's like that. You can get really nice ones on Crate & Barrel or CB2, or just find them at a flea market. Put them like this. I'm presuming we're talking about a space like this. Tell them, hey guys, please keep track of your glass. I don't have any more glasses. Big one, okay? And then have classic selections. A bucket with seltzer, tonic, gin, vodka. If you want, you can have a whiskey, but people get really drunk on that, so you have to be careful. Focus your bar, yourself. I want you to make gin and tonics. They'll do it. Have your cut fruit, etc. A self-serve bar, they should know, oh, please make yourself a vodka or gin or tonic or whatever you'd like. There's some wine here. Have wine and then basically two drinks that you pick. 2 mixers, 2 liquors. You define the bar. That's what I would say. Thanks, Karen. Bucillus Bimbo, she asks, what type of music do you recommend for an intimate dinner party? I would go on Spotify and type in intimate dinner party because I've had a lot of luck with that, okay? Also, Big Band is a great playlist. Some of it's raucous, but it's played quietly. It's really lovely. Jazz standards, Shaolin Soul is a little more, slightly more recognizable. You can't go wrong with Ella Fitzgerald. You don't want something that they're going to go, you know, like you don't want something that's going to cut into the dinner party. Like a current song, I think is a mistake. After, maybe. Oh, you know what's really interesting? DS and Durga, that makes my candles, they create playlists for each candle, which is totally fabulous. It's a little hard to find on Spotify, but a couple of those are really good. They're eclectic and quite interesting, some of those. But anyway, stick with the ones I said. Okay, Devi Durga, which is a Hindi mantra, I believe, asks, can you make a thick smoothie for us? Smoothies are so easy. You just put everything in the blender. I mean, I could make it for you, I guess. Val Fletcher. Oh, dude. A big letdown for you when you are a guest for a dinner party is to see the same old community hand drying towel. Disgusting. Mine too. I don't want to dry my hands on a towel 10 others have touched. What is one more letdown you might experience as a guest? Not enough wine. Listen, people drink at dinner parties, so not enough wine can crush a party. A host who's letting you know how much work they did and how stressed out they were all day and how dirty their apron is, that's a real downer. Somebody making excuses, as Julia Child would say, if you're going to serve it, you cannot make excuses. So if you put the plate down, you can't say, oh, it's not exactly what I wanted, it's too late. You can't do that. It makes everybody uncomfortable. They're like, what if it's great. You know, what if it isn't great? You don't set it down. Say, sorry guys, it didn't work. We're getting Chinese food. Those were great questions, guys. Let's keep doing this. Even though I feel like a complete ham standing here answering them, it sure is beautiful that you guys wrote in so many questions, hundreds. It's fantastic. Within reason, I will answer anything, so keep them coming. FHB smoked salmon.